Everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of View from Tracy's Point, and it has been a minute. Okay, and let me tell you guys something. If you ever decide to become a YouTube creator or any type of content creator, when you take a break, okay, it is hard to get back into it. And so I've been coming up with all these story ideas or topics that I want to talk about. And then when it comes time to setting up the camera, turning on the lights, all that other stuff, I'm just like, whew, child, I'll wait a minute. But your girl has been okay. I've just been experiencing life, welcoming a new grandbaby and enjoying the fact that my oldest daughter and her family have relocated back here from sunny California. So I guess that's the end of my trips to California. It was hard flying out there, but once I got there, it's just such a beautiful place where she lived at that I always enjoyed myself. So now I have to find a new destination spot or find other reasons to go to California. So we're here to talk about this Tasha K and Cardi B trial that is going on. And so this video is not going to be a play-by-play of what's happening in court since I'm not there. And I don't want to go into trying to recreate what's happening, you know, without access to the transcripts. You guys know when I covered the R. Kelly case, it was because I had the transcripts and there was enough information out there to be able to have a somewhat intelligent conversation leading up to the trial. But definitely when the trial started, it was good having the transcripts and being able to read them to you guys. And, you know, we could have conversations about, you know, what these different things meant. And for those of you that are still looking for content on that case, it's not the appeal, it's the, I think, request for a new hearing or request to have the verdict vacated. Like, I believe that's before you actually file the appeal with the appeals court. But those documents aren't due. The judge gave the appeals attorney, Jennifer Bunjin, gave her extra time. So she has to file those documents by February 4th. And you guys know once she files those documents, I will be bringing them to you in a reading and giving you my opinion on them. Now, if you want to cover this case and have like a play-by-play of what's going on in the courtroom, if you guys remember Dennis Byron with Hip Hop Inquirer, he covered the R. Kelly case in the Eastern District of New York. Well, he lives in Atlanta and he's back home and he is in court every day covering this case. You can find him on Instagram. He does live videos on Instagram under Mr. Dennis Byron. He does tweets throughout the day on Twitter, and I believe that's Mr. Dennis Byron also. And then on his YouTube channel, he, starting this week, I can't remember if he did any videos last week, but starting this week, he has an attorney who he's interviewing. And so he's doing that over on his YouTube channel, which is Hip Hop Inquirer. So if you want that play-to-play like what we were giving during the R. Kelly case, then definitely go over and check out Mr. Byron. And to be honest with you, I think he's maybe one of the only people that's actually, well, I think now there's another YouTuber, can't remember his name. He's the one over there reading that so-called 100-page letter that he claimed is from R. Kelly. But, you know, those of us know, some of us know that that letter is not from R. Kelly. If I had to put money on it, I would say Cash Jones is writing that garbage that he's over there reading. Most of the stuff is stuff that's already been covered on all the different YouTube channels. But anyway, we're not going to go into that because that's a story for a whole nother day. But I believe that he is also at the courtroom. He may have started going after Dennis Byron started doing his coverage. But I prefer Dennis Byron's coverage because it's more professional, it's more coherent, and, you know, he's giving his opinions. And I learned in another video, I can't remember the young lady's name, and I do apologize, and I couldn't find the video when I went back to look for it, but she did a video yesterday where she was saying that Dennis Byron posted an article on his Twitter page yesterday, basically where I guess there was a situation between him and Tasha K, and Tasha K threatened him or something like that. But go over to Twitter to Mr. Dennis Byron and you can find that article and learn, you know, whatever it is you can glean from it. It does kind of, even though he gives good coverage and he's very professional, it does kind of make you wonder if he is, you know, if his views are tilted towards Cardi B because of his past interaction with Tasha K, or is he just an upstanding journalist who, regardless of what has happened in the past, you know, can still act in integrity and give, you know, his opinion based on what's happening in the courtroom. So, like I said, if you want that play-by-play, what's being said in the courtroom, you definitely should go and check out Dennis Byron of Hip Hop Inquirer for that information. And so, as I was stating in the beginning, nobody was covering this case but Mr. Byron. I didn't see any blogs picking it up. I didn't see any news channels picking it up. And that's not to say that they weren't covering it. I'm just saying that I didn't see it. It wasn't being shared on social media. I wasn't able to Google these articles. But then Cardi B took the stand. And on the day that Cardi B took the stand, and she shared, you know, how all of this made her feel, then all of a sudden, all the blog sites picked up on the story and talked about the fact that, you know, she said that she felt like taking her own life. She didn't feel like a good mother. She was unable to have sex with her husband, and that this whole situation was really impacting her negatively. And so my thoughts on that was, I can see, you know, as a human being, how those stories could have impacted her. But from Tasha K's legal team, I would have thought that when they cross-examined Cardi B, that they would have threw in there, well, couldn't these have been signs of postpartum depression? You know, because Cardi had just had her daughter, Culture. And so I was thinking, okay, well, that's crazy that they didn't try to put that in there. And, or maybe it was because she hadn't been diagnosed for postpartum depression or treated for it because her medical records were made a part of it. But they could have thrown that in there as a suggestion, you know, because once the jurors hear things, they can't unhear it, right? And just to put a pause here, one of the jurors was relieved of their jury duties because I guess when they went on break, she made a comment about the testimony and how, or the videos that they were showing of Tasha K, you know, ridiculing Cardi and, you know, calling her names and stuff. And so that immediately got her a ticket home. Okay. And so, you know, it just goes to show that once it's out there, it's out there. And then Cardi, you know, could have been suffering from postpartum depression and never sought treatment with the doctor about specifically postpartum depression, because I believe it did come out that she did, you know, did seek help eventually about the feelings that she was having. And let's see. You know, but that was the day that all the blog sites, still didn't see any big name media, you know, like CNN or anyone picking up the story, but a lot of your bloggers like the E! Online, People, Variety, all of them. Revolt might have covered it. You did see those stories, those outlets picking up the story once Cardi made that admission, but now they've gone silent again. Like, they're not covering the case. They're not talking about it. And I just thought that that was very interesting, because I would think that because these are mainly gossip sites, sites that make their living off of talking about celebrity news, that this would be a very important case to them. But then as I did my research, I realized that, hey, maybe it's not that big of a case, because they already know the laws and they already know what the court is saying about what's going on. And maybe they don't want to give Tasha K any more, street credibility or any more recognition than what they think she deserves, because theoretically she is their competition. And so they don't want to give her any play, even though they care about Cardi B, they just don't want to pump Tasha K up. And so I thought that was one way of looking at why everybody has been so silent. And to be honest with you, I don't think that there's really a lot of implications for bloggers, blog sites in regards to this. I think that YouTube creators should be more interested in the outcome. But later in this video, I'm going to let you guys know why this case really isn't as big as people may think it may be. It may be big for people that don't like Tasha K, or people that just like seeing other people fail, or, or get retribution for the things that they do. But I think in the long run, this case probably isn't going to be as significant as a lot of people believe that it will be. And let's see. So basically, I just want to approach the story, on long-term implications, if there are any. And, for YouTubers who don't really understand what's going on, or people that follow YouTubers who don't really, who think, okay, that was really mean-spirited of Cardi B, of Tasha K, to treat Cardi B that way. But is it illegal? Like, can she really, be found guilty and held liable? And remember, this is a civil case, not a criminal case. So at this point, it's not like Tasha K is going to go to jail. At worst case scenario, her pockets will be hit if the jury rules in Cardi B's favor. And so I want to go on record as saying that bullying is never cool, and making comments about celebrities, I think it has their limits. And to just basically go out there and just tell blatant lies and know that you're telling blatant lies, to me, there's no excuse for that, and there should be no room for that. Because celebrities, we have to remember, they're people too. And regardless of what their public persona is, regardless of how confident somebody may seem when they're, out in public in front of the camera, it doesn't mean that that's who they are. Like, that's their persona talking. But there's a real person behind that persona. And when that person, is in private, when those cameras are turned off, that is a human being who has feelings, who deals with things differently in private than they do in public. So, of course, Cardi B, will go out in public and act like she's not impacted by what's going on. But evidently, based on her testimony, when she was at home, when she was in private, when she, was with her family, then, that's when the real emotions came up. And, she talked about, her rags to riches story. And that's why I like Cardi B. I know people say that she's racist and she's made colorist statements and that type of thing. But I love a rags to riches story. And I also admire how Cardi B and Jocelyn Hernandez, they went on Love and Hip Hop. And they made a name for themselves. Now, Cardi, I believe, is the biggest sensation, like unheard of person from Love and Hip Hop, who skyrocketed their career using that platform. I can't think of anybody else who has been as successful as her after going on that show. And then Jocelyn didn't reach the level of success for Cardi B. as Cardi B, but she did take what was given to her, and she used that platform to build, a comfortable lifestyle, comfortable level of celebrity from being on Love and Hip Hop. So when I used to watch the show, I was rooting for everybody on the show, especially the unheard of people, the underdogs. Like, use this platform for good if you're going to be on here acting a fool and acting crazy. And so I thought part of Tasha K's defense would have been, well, actually Tasha K's defense just started. Right, the plaintiff just finished, and now Tasha K is presenting her defense. And so I would look or expect to see a lot of videos of Cardi B that don't show her in a favorable light, that may show her cursing and, making statements that were really just for the camera, but not really about who she is. I would expect them to be digging way, way, way deep, trying to find articles, anything negative that they can bring up about Cardi B and throw it in the mix. Because from what I can see, Tasha K really doesn't have a legal leg to stand on in this case. And so before I get into this, I wanted to... this case has really took me back to when I was a teenager. And I'm basing this solely on how Dennis Byron is depicting Tasha K's attitude while she is in court. The way, just the arrogance and the defiance, and basically knowing that she was dead wrong, and instead of just apologizing and humbling herself, according to him, she is just being arrogant, flippant, she's going to stand firm in what she did, even though she's on the stand admitting that she knew she was telling lies, knew that the information that was coming out wasn't accurate information, but she continued to do it. I think at one point she was asked, it came out that she told Cardi B she would take the videos down if Cardi B would come on the show and answer questions about the videos. Like, what in the world? Like, why would Cardi B even have done that? And then there were, I think she wanted Cardi B to pay her to take the stuff down, but then turned around and said she still would have found a way to monetize the videos. And for those of you who have no clue what's going on, I got into the video talking about this, and some of you watching may have no clue what I'm talking about. So let me back up, okay, for a minute, and I'm going to get into the complaint that Cardi B filed against Tasha K, but I also just want to give you guys an article, some information from an article, and this is from Billboard, where they're basically just giving us the gist of what's going on. And as I stated earlier, these publications didn't really start talking about the case until Cardi B made the statement on the stand of how this really, really impacted her. And so let me go ahead and blow this up a little bit. And so this was the day that Cardi B made her admissions in court. And again, this is from Billboard. It says Cardi B and her attorneys are headed to trial Monday morning. Actually, this was before the admission, I'm sorry. Monday morning in an Atlanta federal courthouse over her accusations that a prominent YouTube channel waged a malicious campaign to hurt her reputation by spreading rumors of sexually transmitted diseases and other falsehoods. And the superstar, whose real name is Bekalis Almanzar, child, I don't know. Y'all help me, okay? Claims that a woman named Latasha Kiwi made dozens of YouTube videos and social media posts that spread false claims about her, like one that Cardi B had contracted herpes and another that told of a shocking incident with a beer bottle. And I believe it came out that there were like 38 videos that Tasha K currently has up of talking about Cardi B in some form or another. Kibi has denied the accusations and even countersued on claims that Cardi B encouraged her fans to harass her on social media. A judge tossed out Kibi's counterclaims last year, saying there was no evidence that the rapper had caused the alleged harassment. The trial is set to kick off Monday, which was last Monday morning, with jury selection. After that, the trial is expected to run for at least 2 weeks, and this is the second week. It's unclear if the star herself will take the witness stand, which we already know Cardi did take the witness stand on the latter part of last week. Cardi B will be represented by Lisa Moore and William Pergonat of the law firm Moore Pergonat LLC. Kibi will be represented by Sadar Sabak and Olga Ismailova of Sabak and Ismailova PC. Attorneys for Cardi B have a difficult road ahead, mainly because the First Amendment makes it difficult for famous people to sue for defamation. To win her case, the superstar must prove not just that Kibi's statements hurt her reputation, but that the blogger acted with so-called actual malice, that she either intentionally lied or acted with a reckless indifference to the truth. And we know now, based on Dennis Byron's coverage of the case, that Tasha K has gone above and beyond in admitting that she knew the information that she was putting out there was a lie, and that she put it out there for the sole purpose of building her channel subscribers and to make money on YouTube, and she basically did not care about how it impacted Cardi B. And so it says, Kibi, who goes by the name Tasha K, is a celebrity news blogger who publishes videos to nearly 1 million subscribers on YouTube channel Unwind with Tasha K. She calls her site a drama-based blog. And since this trial began, Tasha K has crossed the 1 million subscriber threshold. And this could be a reason why she's acting out in court, because she thinks it's entertaining and part of her persona, and it's going to help grow her channel regardless of what the outcome is at the end of this trial. And then it says, in her 2019 lawsuit, Cardi B cited more than 38 videos uploaded by Kibi that referenced her, plus numerous other social media posts. According to court filings, one video from December 2018 contains a statement that Cardi B elfed herself with beer bottles and elfed strippers on stage. Now, guys, y'all know what the elf stand for in a sexual connotation, okay? In another post from 2019, Kibi claimed that the star had contracted herpes. And one thing that Tasha K said that I thought was really, really sad was that she was on live with Culture, and she was kissing Culture, and that people in the comments were asking her, why are you kissing her on the mouth? Don't you have herpes? Now, as a new mom, can you imagine how hurtful that was to her? Like, she's probably already questioning her motherhood, going through all this stress of what's happening, with this blogger who's putting all these lies out about her and defaming her, and, just really, working on her emotional psyche. And then to have people questioning her motherhood, and like, if you've never had a child, you may not understand, but when you're a new mom and people are questioning your ability to parent and the decisions that you're making, trust me, it is not fun. And so the article goes on to say, in November, after Cardi B asked to delay trial because of family emergency, Kibi accused her of fabricating the story so that she could host the American Music Awards. Later, Kibi sought and won a court order requiring a Los Angeles hospital to turn over any records of STD tests performed on Cardi B. A judge later said those records were not helpful to Kibi's defense, meaning they likely showed a negative test result. So that's pretty much the basis of what the story is going on. And then, as I indicated, and let me see if I can find this other article. So it was E! News that covered what happened the day that everybody decided that they were going to cover this case. And so it says, calling it a malicious campaign to damage and destroy, Cardi and her attorneys allege that Tasha knew these statements to be false, but acted with reckless disregard of whether they were true or not, and published them anyway. As a result, the suit stated Cardi suffered embarrassment, humiliation, mental anguish, and emotional distress. She is seeking damages as well as an order for Tasha to remove in full all defamatory and disparaging statements. For her part, Tasha has denied Cardi's allegations. She countersued the WAP artist last year on claims of harassment. And I already told you guys that countersuit was tossed out. Let's see. Court records show that the libel trial against Tasha will begin on where it began. Right. So Tasha's defense. I'm sorry. The plaintiff goes first. That was last week. So Cardi's team has rested, and now Tasha's team is about to start. And then court was cut short early today because Tasha tried to introduce some videos that may not have been approved, because, you know, before you go to trial, you have to get all your evidence and everything approved by the courts. You can't just walk in there and just start, you know, showing evidence that has no relevance to the case. And so there was some question about a video that Tasha was trying to play in court today. And the Cardi's team, I guess, was saying that it wasn't one of the videos that was approved. And so they had to, you know, get from in front of the jury to have a discussion about this. And so you can go over to Dennis Byron's channel where the attorney is talking about how this could have been a possible strategy for a mistrial in the case. And so it was a good thing that the judge, you know, was like, hey, hold on. Let's get the jury out of here and let's have a talk, you know, have a conversation about this. And then when they were having the sidebar, I guess Tasha K's attorneys was telling Cardi B's attorneys to determine what part of the video wasn't supposed to be played, and just a whole bunch of mess. And so court ended up ending early today, and then they'll be back tomorrow to continue with that. But all in all, based on, you know, the coverage that Dennis Byron is giving, Tasha K is doing horrible in this case. So I just wanted to backpedal, give you guys a little bit of backstory. And now let me get back to what I was getting ready to talk about. So what I was going to say is, it appears from, you know, the information that we're getting from the courtroom, you know, even if it's not 100% accurate, it sounds like Tasha is dealing with a spirit of defiance. And I know that spirit of defiance because I once lived with it. Okay, when I was younger, I would have, and if I was my younger self and I was in a courtroom doing, you know, trying to defend something that I did that I knew was wrong, I would probably be conducting myself exactly how they're saying Tasha is conducting herself. Like she, one thing he pointed out was they said, and this was also in the court documents, that video has received over 3 million views. And instead of just saying yes, Tasha said, no, it's received 4.8 million views. You know, just doing stuff like that. And, you know, and then I guess there was some discrepancy between the testimony Tasha gave and the testimony that her husband gave about the legal setup of the business. And just, you know, just basically, yeah, I knew they were lies. I knew this, I knew that. And so it took me back to my younger self. And I used to have these t-shirts, and these two t-shirts, as I think back on them, kind of sum up what we have going on here. And so you guys remember the store Spencer. It may have closed down in some places. I think it's still open here, but it's like a novelty shop where you can buy all this crazy stuff. And so I had these two t-shirts, and the one t-shirt said, when my life is over and my time has come to pass, I hope I'm buried upside down so the world can kiss my ass. And it used to drive my mom and my auntie crazy when I would wear that t-shirt out in public. And that's sort of, you know, it speaks to that defiant spirit, you know, that people have in them. And so it seems that, you know, Tasha is going to ride this wave to the end, right? Like, she is never going to admit that what she did was wrong. Like, she admits that she did it. She's saying why she did it, but she's never going to admit that it was wrong, right? She believes that she has a right to say what she wants to say, how she wants to say it, and to monetize off of saying it. And because Cardi B is a celebrity, she is a celebrity that has behaved in certain ways in public, that gives her the right to say these things. And then there was another co-defendant in this case, and I don't know if she settled with Cardi or apologized to Cardi, because she hasn't really come up that much. But her name was Star Marie Jones, and this is actually how I discovered Tasha K, was when she was doing these interviews. And even then I thought, how horrible to be talking about this person like this, or saying these things. Like, even if it's true, it's just sad to be talking about it, you know. And so we do know that the story initiated with the Star Marie Jones, and she was telling Tasha some of this stuff. And then she actually came back and said that, you know, what she said had lied. But I guess Tasha continued on with the narrative and refused to, you know, to take the videos down after she was asked by Cardi B to take them down. And so, hold on a second, my page. Okay, here it is. And so the second t-shirt that I have from Spencer's, it said, if you can't dazzle them with brilliance, razzle them with bullshit. And so it seems to me that Cardi B's legal team know they don't have a leg to stand on, know that there is no real way that they can win this case. Because, like, in the court documents, Cardi's team is outlining, and I would read it to you guys, but it's like 32 pages long, but they're basically outlining at this minute and this second, this was the defamation, this was the liable, this was, you know, whatever it is that they're charging her with or accusing Tasha K of. They have it pointed out line by line, and there's like 150 some articles in that document. And so, you know, 32-page document where they're just pointing out all the untrue statements, all the defamatory statements that were made on the videos, you know, how they asked Tasha to take it down, what her response was. So they seem to have, you know, enough evidence out there. And so Tasha's team, you know, they basically don't have a defense, okay? And so they've gone on the offense. They're being very offensive. They're being, you know, like the lawyer stated from earlier today, like they may have been trying to strategize by throwing this video in there that they know wasn't approved in order to cause a mistrial, because they don't want this to go to a jury. Because if it goes to the jury and the jury sides with Cardi B, they more than likely are going to award her a large settlement in this case, because, you know, it seems like the jury is not happy with Tasha K. They're not pleased with the way that she's behaving and the fact that she is not taking accountability. And so they want her to be held accountable. And so we're going to move on to what relief is sought. What does Cardi B want from this case if they rule in her favor? And so I am just going to go down and read to you guys what she is looking for. Okay, I might have to. Okay, let me reopen this document. Oops. I want to reopen this document because it was sitting there too long. Okay. So she demanded a jury trial, and so this section was called Prayer for Relief, and it says, wherefore plaintiff respectfully requests the court to enter judgment in her favor and against the defendant, each of them jointly and severally as follows. And when they say each of them, they have Tasha K, you know, her real name, LaTasha Kebe, and then LaTasha Howard, and then the Star Marie Jones. But I think that Star Marie must have settled or apologized or whatever, because she is not on trial with Tasha K. So it says, A, awarding plaintiff damages and amounts pertaining to each to be determined at trial, but not less than $75,000, including general, special, consequential, actual, statutory, and punitive damages. And so Cardi is not asking for $75,000. $75,000 is the minimum to file this type of lawsuit. B, awarding and accounting to plaintiff for the gains and profits of defendants arising from the unlawful conduct. C, permanently enjoining defendants and their respective partners, agents, representatives, successors, assigns, and employees, and any and all persons in active convert of participation with defendants and each of their executors, administrators, successors, licensees, assigned subsidiaries, parents, affiliates, not their birth parents like the mother and father, but parent companies. You know how you might have Fox TV as the parent company, and then they have all these networks, Fox Soul, apps, social media would be their affiliates and their subsidiaries, but Fox is the parent company. And that might not even be right. It may be somebody over Fox. Does Disney own Fox? But you guys get the gist of it. In active convert or participation with defendants and each of their executors, administrators, successors, licensees, assigned subsidiaries, parents, affiliates, divisions, and it goes and names all those different roles, and any and all other persons, corporations, or other entities acting under the supervision, direction, control, or on behalf of any of the foregoing, and each of them from making, disseminating, broadcasting, or publishing any statements that plaintiff has or had herpes, that plaintiff uses or has used cocaine and Molly, and or that plaintiff was or is a prostitute. D, issuing an order requiring Kebe to retract, remove, and repudiate in full all defamatory and disparaging statements made regarding plaintiff. Did I say defamatory before? Okay, y'all forgive me, okay? E, issuing an order requiring Jones to retract, remove, and repudiate in full all defamatory and disparaging statements made regarding plaintiff. F, awarding plaintiff's attorney's fees and costs. G, pre-judgment and post-judgment interest. And H, granting plaintiff such other and further relief as the court deems just and proper. So that is the outcome that Cardi B is hoping for if there is a guilty verdict, or the jury holds Tasha K responsible. Once again, this is not a criminal trial. This is a civil trial. And then also, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, that the reason this case is not being televised is because it is in federal court, and you guys know that federal courts are not allowed, they don't allow cameras in, they don't allow any type of recording. Like even when the reporters are in there, they have to write notes. They can't record the proceedings. And let's see. And so a lot of people, you know, when you're reading that, you would think that YouTube is somehow liable, right? That they have to bear some responsibility. Like when, you know, when Cardi B was issuing the cease and desist letters to Tasha K. Oh, and then also in the court documents, Tasha K was avoiding process serving for like a year or so. Like it was a bunch of, you know, paperwork filed by the fact that they were unable to serve Tasha K in this matter. But, you know, evidently they finally were able to, because we are at this point. But back to this, YouTube, you know, I did a little research, and YouTube is not liable in any way for any of this. Now, it would have been nice that when Cardi B was trying to get the videos removed, that YouTube just went ahead and deleted the videos. But hopefully, if she gets this judgment in her favor, it will include telling YouTube to take these doggone videos down that are still up, you know, and that Tasha K is still monetizing at this point, as she allegedly stated in the hearing. And so basically YouTube can't be found liable for what's going on. And this is why. So I found the law that talks about it. Let me get to it. And let me blow it up, because y'all know I can't see worth the doggone without my reading glasses. Okay, so it's under section 230. And what did the so it's the Communications Decency Act, CDA, and it started out as part of 1996 legislation that was eventually changed. And so section 230, and these are government code that governs internet and communications. And it says, and this is from a law firm, Mink, M-I-N-C, Mink Law. And so it says Section 230 makes internet service providers like Google and Facebook immune from lawsuits based on claims related to content published by third parties using the services. For example, if someone posts a fake Google review about your business that is defamatory, you generally cannot sue Google for defamation. This is because they are immune under Section 230 of the CDA. And so an overview of Section 230 says Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act is one of, if not the most important pieces of internet legislation in the United States. The goal of Section 230 is to enable internet and tech companies to develop, without fear of legal liability, content published to their websites by internet users. 1, if internet service providers are held liable for content published by their users, this could either drive companies into bankruptcy from constant legal battles, or incentivize companies to heavily regulate and censor content publicized by users. So basically what they're saying is, if YouTube could be held liable for the billions of video that is loaded to their platform, they will spend all their time, like we would never, you guys hear me complaining about how YouTube, has flagged my video, and then I have to wait hours, sometimes days, in order for them to review the video and then tell me, oh, oops, we made a mistake. Yeah, your video can be monetized. Imagine if they had to do that for every single video that is put up on their platform. Nobody's content would ever be put up, and it would really become sort of a elitist platform, because only people, who had money and could afford to fight YouTube about content and what was allowed and what was not allowed, and YouTube taking their content down. it would be a never-ending battle. So I do get why YouTube is probably not part of this lawsuit, and why Cardi B couldn't go after YouTube for this content that they have not taken down. And so it goes on to say both consequences would discourage free online speech and innovation on the internet. Section 230 is often credited for enabling social media companies, search engines, and cloud storage systems to be as successful and integrated into society as they are today. Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act prevents courts from viewing interactive computer service providers as publishers in cases involving content published by third-party information content providers. The text of Section 230CI states that no provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. Section 230CI classifies interactive computer service providers as users, ISPs, as intermediaries, and grant them broad immunity from liability for content published on their services by third parties. What is more, Section 230 enhances an ISP's oversight power over content published on their platforms without considering them publishers of the objectionable content and making them liable for a third party's unlawful content. And so it goes, and it's a pretty long article, but that's the gist of it. The law protects platforms like YouTube and other social media from what is posted on their website. But I still think that in a good faith effort, and YouTube knowing how this impacted Cardi B, they still had the right to delete that content. Because I'm telling you, what was that video? I did a video on that Kyle Rittenhouse when that whole thing went down and he was charged and has since been found not guilty. But when he was initially charged, I did a video. It was a short 5-minute video. I'm not even talking on the video. I'm showing images and then I'm writing captions about the image, like just telling the story of what led up to his arrest. And do you know, people complained about my video and YouTube took my video down, and then I had to petition them to put the video back up. And then when they put it back up, they said that it had to be for ages 18 and over. And whenever a video is marked 18 and over, it immediately is demonetized. So YouTube has the right to do has the power to do what they want to do. And the fact that they left that video up is all about money, because the video had millions of views. And so that meant millions of revenue from advertisers. And so that just shows that YouTube is all about the money and they don't care who is hurt. And the only time, so like if that was me and I was talking about, somebody, you guys could complain about the video, they'd probably take it down. But because it was Cardi B and it was bringing in these millions of views, they didn't care. Okay, they didn't care. So I am going to close this out, with my final thoughts on the case and what I think is going to be the outcome. I think that Cardi will probably win. I think she's going to win. I think the jury is going to give a large settlement, award her a large settlement. Tasha K may file bankruptcy. She may not file bankruptcy, because in filing bankruptcy, you expose yourself, right? Financial exposure, because you got to be truthful on the bankruptcy and you have to reveal a lot about your personal finances. So she may or may not file bankruptcy. It was mentioned that at one point, the Treasury Department, a representative from the Treasury Department, was in the courtroom. I believe it was on Thursday, when her husband was testifying about the business structure and the responsibilities and I guess how they earn money on these platforms. So she may very well be facing some issues down the road as far as that. bankruptcy. Even if she filed bankruptcy, it doesn't mean that she doesn't have to pay this reward or award by the, not reward, award by the court. So when you file bankruptcy, there are certain judgments that you can include in your bankruptcy. And this one very well could be on that list of things that you can include on your bankruptcy. However, it doesn't mean that the debt that you don't owe this money, okay? Because, and I lost my page where I had wrote this down, how this process works. But there is a motion where Cardi B, if she gets the judgment, she can file a motion for relief or motion for a lien against Tasha K. And if she can do that before Tasha K files bankruptcy, if that is Tasha K's plan, but she just strikes me as somebody that probably wouldn't file bankruptcy. And I think she's mentioned before on her channel that her or her husband have actually filed bankruptcy multiple times in the past. So she may not even be eligible to file bankruptcy if this time limit hasn't passed between bankruptcy filings, because I think it's like 7 years for one type of filing, 10 years for another type of filing. So she may not even be eligible to file bankruptcy if it's true that she has had previous filings before. But in any event, if Cardi gets the judgment, she can file a lien against Tasha K's property, her future earnings, and she can collect that way. And we know for a fact that YouTube will garnish YouTubers' anticipated pay, okay, future earnings, to satisfy a garnishment, because we saw that play out when YouTuber and blogger Michelle Brown of Straight from the A sued Funky Dineva, who's another popular blogger. And when Funky Dineva didn't pay Michelle her money, he was on his channel one day talking about, you know, his check was going to be, or he had made like over $2,000 on one video alone. And Michelle took that information and was able to get a judge to issue a garnishment. And they garnished Funky Dineva's future earnings until he paid off the debt that was owed to Michelle Brown. And so that's one way that Tasha could be forced to pay any judgment to Cardi B. I believe that she'll have to take the videos down. She won't have a choice in taking the videos down. And what else do I think could happen? I just don't foresee Tasha K apologizing to Cardi B. And if she does apologize, it won't be a sincere apology, okay? I don't know. I think that, and in the end, I don't think it's going to have a lot of ramifications, a lot of implications for other YouTubers who may cover celebrity gossip, you know, or even make defamatory, defamatory statements about other YouTubers, because YouTubers sue each other, you know, for things that are said and done on YouTube. And I don't see that like blowing up and becoming a huge thing. I don't see that happening. I think that, you know, Tasha K was wrong in the way she put information out about Cardi B. I think it all could have been resolved by her taking the videos down and apologizing, but she chose not to do that. And I just think at the end of the day, Tasha has, you know, she's building her platform on her own website. I think that is probably very profitable to her now, and it will continue to grow. I don't think that YouTube is going to penalize Tasha K in any way other than making her take those videos down. If anything, this is good publicity for YouTube, okay? It shows that YouTube stands behind its content creators, right? That they're not out there just snatching people down, stuff down, and that they, you know, are not violating the First Amendment rights of their content creators. And I think they are more using it as a, you know, a way to say that they are not it's hard on creators, as some creators think they are. And plus, Tasha K is a big money maker for them, and they want to continue to make that money. I believe I told you guys before that YouTube makes like over $15 billion in revenue, in ad revenue. So they need the Tasha K's who can bring in advertisers, who can make that money on those channels. And so I really don't see this being as big of a case as, or having big implications. I could be dead wrong. Okay. But I think Cardi will probably win, and she'll probably get a big judgment. And I also believe on the flip side that if Tasha K wins, she will be a beast. Okay. She will be unstoppable. She will be unrelentless. She will be coming at these celebrities hard. Okay. So it may be in the best interest. And I think that a lot of celebrities aren't talking about this case for that very reason, is that they're concerned that if Tasha K can throw a Hail Mary and pull this off and win this case, that she'll be coming for them next. And so nobody is talking about this. They are being very, very quiet about this. And so that's my viewpoint, on this case. I'll continue watching, according to, and I need to stop saying, according to Dennis Byron, he believes that this case is going to wrap up in the next couple of days, and that there could be a decision by the jury, by the end of the week. If things are going the way that they have been depicted as going, I can see them deliberating probably for no more than 30 minutes. They might even tell the judge before he tell them to go deliberate. We already done reached a verdict, Your Honor. She guilty. So, I mean, I'm joking, but we'll know in a couple of days how this will be decided and what, if any, ramifications there will be. So guys, that's it for me. Go ahead, leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.